The Facebook whistleblower who released tens of thousands of internal documents showing the social media giant knew of its harmful effects on teens is speaking out ahead of her Senate testimony tomorrow. This as Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp have been suffering widespread worldwide outages all day. She says the platform doesn't care about your well-being.
The thing I saw at Facebook over and over again was there were conflicts of interest between what was good for the public and what was good for Facebook. And Facebook over and over again chose to optimize for its own interests, like making more money. It chooses profit over safety. I've seen a bunch of social networks, and it was substantially worse at Facebook than anything I'd seen before.
Here now, Frederick from the Heritage Foundation. She's a former Facebook Intel analyst. Kara, good to have you with us today. You're the right person. Let me ask you, what do you think we're going to hear in these hearings tomorrow from the whistleblower?
I think it'll be really interesting. What I am worried about, something that may emerge tomorrow, is I sensed a red flag after that episode last night where she sort of waxed on about the issues she saw at Facebook. In my mind, I want the documents and those leaks and Facebook's knowledge of their own toxicity to speak for itself, because the news coverage and all the editorializing, it amounts to that red flag of people not necessarily thinking that Facebook is policing hate, or what they consider hate, or misinformation enough. And we know that when these big tech companies, when they say we have misinformation on our platform, that definition, it changes by the hour. It's a big bucket that they use to broaden that definition. And then it doesn't really redound to the benefit of conservatives. A slew of Republican Congress members come to mind when they were deplatformed for talking about COVID, when Ron DeSantis had a roundtable about kids and the COVID issues. So in my mind, I think we need to be careful about what is going to happen in that hearing and what conclusions they're sort of pushing us towards when it comes to heavy-handed policing.
Yeah, this seems to be being spun a little bit in the direction of let's fight misinformation. That's the takeaway from this story. I don't think that's a takeaway at all. I want to put up a couple of stats here from some of the documents that were released. 1 in 3 teen girls, Instagram and Facebook knew Instagram makes body issues worse for 1 in 3 teen girls. Another stat on the number who feel worse after using Instagram, 32% of users. Look, Kara, I mean, I've got 3 kids. People with children understand all the dynamics that go with these products. What's crazy here is this is internal research that Facebook had done, and they essentially chose to do nothing with it. And in fact, find new ways, like Instagram Kids, they just canceled now, to get your kids more hooked to these products.
Well, and Brian, they didn't even cancel that. They just put it on pause. So they wanted input, and that was because of public pressure. That was because of the Wall Street Journal really exposing them. So think of if the Wall Street Journal never ran that expose, what would they be doing now? And they've explicitly said that tweens are an untapped market. That means they are trying to get their platforms in the hands of your children, and they're doing it on purpose. So we need to look at that very seriously. And look at some of their motivations and just really be very circumspect about what these companies say when it comes to your kids.
Kara, where do you want to see this go from here? We're going to have the hearing. It won't be the last. There's all sorts of remedies out on the board, from antitrust to more regulation. If we're going to get this right, if we're going to respond right to this issue, what do you think Congress needs to do? What else do you think needs to happen?
There's a litany of solutions, and some that we're proposing at the Heritage Foundation. I mean, we want to open up all fronts against conservative censorship and what these platforms are doing, specifically to conservatives and people with heterodox views. We want to promote the good efforts of the states. If they want to be the digital test beds of democracy, let the states pass laws and see which ones are good and which ones effectively rein in these tech companies. I also think that the Facebook outage right now, there's no better better argument for getting on conservative-friendly platforms. So those founders, those technologists, if you're thinking of creating a platform that really does stand up for the freedom of expression, you should do that now. Pull the trigger now, because conservatives should be on these platforms. And then let's generate some sort of energy within civil society. Let's use that critical race theory model and get the grassroots involved, because this is a huge problem. And then focus reform of Section 230. There's a role for Congress to play in here as well, and they should play it. Be brave, Congress members. Be brave.
Well, something needs to happen, and I love your idea that it starts at the bottom with the choices that people make. Kara Frederick, appreciate you being with us today. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Brian.